So you're thinking of buying a new home and relocating, maybe to St. John's, Florida. Maybe we even get to work together. You're looking all over the internet and you're super excited, so congratulations. What I want to say is before you start mentally decorating, the home, maybe you're going to put in a pool. Maybe they have a pool. You're going to put in a backyard barbecue. Just stop right there. Buying a home over the internet without physically being there is kind of like dating somebody long distance. It can get real messy real fast. It's kind of like 90 Day Fiance. I don't know if you've ever watched that program. I will admit I have. But it never works out. It does not work out. So let's just talk about what not to do when buying a home over the internet when relocating. So number one, just don't fall for that internet mirage stuff, that online listing with the perfect lighting, just the right angles. Yeah, it might be hiding the fact that your next door neighbor has a pet peacock that loves to scream at 5 a.m. And trust me, that's a true story. One of my buyers bought a home in an unincorporated neighborhood. And little did she know, the next door neighbor had 2 pet peacocks. So when she bought the home, she never went there in person. She just did it over the internet with the agent. And you don't have to disclose that you have a peacock, in unincorporated areas. You just don't. We did get out of that house pretty darn quick. And, that's another one I want to just chalk up for experience. Always visit the house in person, and not once, multiple times. Or at least make sure you can have someone there that you trust, whether it's a very close friend of yours or, your real estate agent like me. Have them do the walkthrough, have them go at night and have them go in the morning because different things happen at different times of the day. Maybe at night they have like 5 cars, the neighbors next door parking in their driveway, where during the day they don't have any. And that's also another situation that happened. So number 2, avoid skipping the weather report. Check out the weather report. Don't just say, oh, I love how sunny it looks. Sure, until you realize that the neighborhood floods, when somebody sneezes and, you're going to be hit by hurricanes all the time. I researched this area for 2 years to find out that we haven't been hit by a hurricane over 50 years. We're going to just tucked in the right little spot. Research the weather. There is a reason that I do not work in July. When I say that, I take my vacation for 2 weeks in July because it's hotter than what. And it's humid, and my hair is like a big frizz ball. So, where I come from in California, it's also hot in Sacramento, Lake Tahoe area, but it's dry heat. It's very, very different. You're not just buying the home, you're buying the environment that it lives in, right? So number 3, don't trust your GPS blindly. You may be wondering, well, how long will it take me? I work at Mayo Clinic, or I work, at the airport, or how far is it from the airport? Or I work at Amelia Island, or I need to be in Georgia, twice a month. Well, guess what? If it tells you 20 minutes, maybe that means, oh, wow, that sounds fantastic, until you realize that only applies if you leave the house at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday when there's a full moon. So test drive that commute during rush hour, because maybe it's you, or maybe it's your husband that's doing the commute, or maybe it's your child going to college. And you don't want them to be complaining 2 months in saying, I hate it here, let's move. That could be a very, very big mistake. And I have seen that happen. Number 4, stay clear of friendly advice from these internet strangers. They get on these chat groups, what's it like to live in St. Augustine? Or what's it like, to live down in Rivertown or Nocatee? And the people that say it's wonderful, a lot of these comments could be people that are selling their homes. A better idea is maybe get your trusted, friend who lives over there, or a relative, or your real estate agent, me. Let us let you know about the neighborhood. One of the things I do to make sure it's a great neighborhood, I knock on the door on the right, I knock on the door on the left, then I go across the street. You will not believe what I find out from neighbors. A couple of times I've told my buyers, you are not buying in this neighborhood. Absolutely not. The guy next door is psycho. He chased the neighbors away. That's why they're moving. You just find out all kinds of information. But like for me, I feel like I won the lotto. I have the best neighbors, and that's what my goal is, to find you the best neighborhood and a place where you can really adapt with your family quickly. Okay, number 5, don't avoid the HOA rules. Read them, understand them, and accept them, or don't move there. In my neighborhood, I have a pontoon boat, so when we come off the river, I'm too tired to we'll rinse out the motor and all that good stuff from the river water. And then we'll clean it the next day, and it might sit for another 2 days before I even bring it back to the storage unit. So read those HOA rules. Like one of the things that I had a complaint about was in the over 55 community. One of my seniors wanted to decorate all year long. Well, you cannot put your Christmas decorations there for Thanksgiving, and you have to have them down after January 1st. So in my neighborhood, they don't care. A lot of us have those permanent lights on. I have permanent lights on my house as well, so you can change them out all year long. I love that. But don't ignore the HOA rules. I happen to live next door to a guy who thinks he's the president of the HOA. That's fun. So I just make sure I always give him a good bottle of wine. If we ever have any great food, we're barbecuing, we bring a big plate, and we basically suck up to him, right? So, but we don't really ever have a problem with HOA, and I want to tell you that's not always the story. Number 6, the fixer-upper fantasy, unless you're like Chip and Joanna, I would really, unless you're a flipper and you have a lot of money and you want to live you don't mind living in construction, and you have a really, really good marriage, I would avoid that. It just never turns out good. It's for investors. It's not for people relocating. Number 7, forgetting that you've got to really connect. You've got to mingle with the locals, find out what's going on. Because I couldn't find Asian food for like almost 2 years because I was so used to really good Vietnamese and Korean and Chinese, and I love Indian food. I love all kinds of food. They have a lot of barbecue here, but there's a lot of different places. You just have to find out. Number 8, don't overlook school districts. People are like, Gail, why do you want to pay a CDD? Gail, why do you want to pay an HOA? Why do you care about the school district? Here's why I care. I only worked in the best school districts. Even if you don't have kids, I have 4 kids, they're grown. But for resale value, you're always going to attract the best clientele when you live in the best school district. So don't overlook that. Number 9, avoid the too good to be true. I've gotten texts so many times from, buyers, Gail, oh my God, this house, it's, reduced $100,000. What's going on? Unless it's a divorce or a death, okay, there's got to be something wrong with it. It could be a foundation. It could be, that it's got a crazy neighbor next door. There's a million reasons. So if it sounds too good to be true, let me investigate for you or your agent and just avoid that whole scam. Number 10, absolutely, do not skip the home inspection. You want that home inspector, going through everything. And it's not just the home inspector. If you have a pool, we have to get Aquaman out here. Well, you don't want the home inspector doing the pool inspection too. My guy jumps in with a wetsuit and he does an hour inspection. And let me tell you, he finds stuff that the sellers never knew was wrong. Also, you want a rodent inspection. Do you have, a bunch of possums or squirrels living up there? Did you know that home inspectors don't look for that? Yeah, they don't. They'll say, it's got some mouse droppings, but that's normal. No, it's not normal. Nobody wants a bunch of rodents up there. Here's my main goal, people. My main goal is that you don't buy a money pit. You don't call me up and go, Gail, oh my gosh, do you have somebody, my floors are curling. I'm like, what? And that actually happened to me. But it was before they purchased the house and we bailed on it. Where the humidity here is a real thing. I have 2 dehumidifiers upstairs and downstairs. I take out between 5 and 7 gallons of water on each one a day. Okay, I also have an ultraviolet light in my air conditioner because mold is a real thing here. Where, the humidity, again, I had a client buy a home. We had everything checked out. It was gorgeous. They didn't move in for 2 months. When they finally moved in, because it wasn't being run, the air conditioner, there was black mold everywhere. So UV, honestly, we don't want to have we don't want to have you to have to replace the roof. The roof is a real thing here because they don't really last more than 15 years because of the wind and the sun is so intense. So we want roof inspections, foundation inspections, plumbing inspections. The low water pressure can mean lots of different problems. Outdated electrical boxes. We don't want you having a Zinco, those old Zinco panels. They cost about $3,000 and they're fire hazards. So you want to have that replaced. At the end of the day, I'm your main set of eyes, and the inspection is, your second set, your third set, and your fourth set. And we just want you to avoid any possible thing that can cost you big money down the road. So remember, if you're doing your research, for me, I over-research. That's my problem. I overthink, I over-research. I actually looked for every reason not to move here because my husband was so gung-ho on. He was getting ready to retire and he wanted to be here. And I was like, it sounds like a good idea, but I could not find a reason not to move here. So hopefully I was able to share some really good insight with you of things I've personally experienced. My goal is to save you time, save you the headache, save you money, save your marriage, and just make it a really stress-free, a great move where you refer me because you're like, oh my God, Gail did a great job. She really did her due diligence. I have told more people not to buy a house. Like, I'm that person. If I don't think you should do it, I will tell you, don't walk, run. We're out of here. If you want to buy this house against my better, my advice, find another realtor to write the offer because I will not stand by if you're making a bad decision, right? That could hurt you financially and hurt your family. So thanks so much for listening. Again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. And if you found this at all interesting, please leave me a comment. Not a bad comment, but a nice one. And like my video. Thanks again. Have a great week. Bye.